heralds hope and change. We espouse a new era.
He has a war against black Americans.
This administration has shamelessly played the race card.
Look at the unemployment rate. Look at the failed high school dropout rates.
We need to fight in these communities against the overregulations and the policies that are killing black people.
They control your needs. They give you literally, whether it's the government cheese to the tax return.
The job of the Congressional Black Caucus is to keep them uneducated, unarmed, and addicted to government.
Man, oh man, was that ever a fascinating segment on my friend Sean Hannity's show the other night. African Americans who weren't on board with this president and getting tired of all but being called Uncle Toms because they didn't agree with this president. Now, many in the media called the whole thing a farce, and Hannity's show a setup. To Alan West here to say it's more a reflection of a growing minority anger that's just pent up. Alan? Welcome. Good to have you. What did you think about and what they were saying?
It's always a pleasure, Neil. Well, it's absolutely right. I think that when you look at the black community, they have to see a failure in these liberal, progressive, almost socialist policies. You know, when you have someone like Melissa Harris Perry over at MSNBC talking about how we have a collective responsibility for our children, and then look at what the statistic is in the black community, only 30% of black children have mothers and fathers in the home. Look at these inner city communities like Detroit. Look at what is going on with the gun violence and the gang violence in Chicago. My own neighborhood in Atlanta, Georgia, which of course was the exact same neighborhood that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. grew up. If you walk down Auburn Avenue, which used to be a thriving center of black entrepreneurship and small business, it's just a shell of itself. So we have to be very concerned, and we have to start breaking away from this dependency society and get back to an opportunity society and promoting the right type of policies that enable that to occur.
You know, Alan, I was thinking of you today when I heard the president mention as he released his budget, very late I might add, talking about he didn't want to do anything that would put the pressure on the backs of the middle class, of the poor, and by inference minorities, because that would be unfair. So tax the rich, or have the rich pay their fair share, a theme he has repeated again and again, but even on top of the taxes they've already paid. As an African American yourself, on just that level, and thinking back to this group that Sean was talking to, how does that make you feel?
Well, first of all, it's a false argument that the president is bringing forward. Because if you continue to tax people, as he has done, close to $1.3 trillion in new taxes in the Affordable Care Act, he's proposing about $1.1 trillion in new taxes in his new budget. He already got $600 billion of new taxes from the quote-unquote fiscal cliff deal. What you see happening is the lessening of opportunities. See small businesses being able to grow and expand. The fact that you have a caveat in Obamacare that says if you go over 50 employees, you're going to be, fined, or you have a mandate to provide a certain type of health insurance. So we see people being taken off of full-time equivalency and being put on part-time. So these policies are affecting what he calls the beloved middle class. I don't believe that there's a class or caste system in America, but you look at what has happened to median family incomes, and especially black family median family incomes, they are just absolutely dropping down to the bottom. And furthermore, you look at teenage unemployment, especially in the black community. It's atrocious. The real unemployment level in the black community is not just what is reported between 13 and 14%. It's probably closer to 20%, Neil.
So why, as a group, are African Americans, and you could argue by extension Hispanics, in a almost lockstep with the president, despite those very high unemployment numbers among these demographic groups? Why so disproportionately Democrat?
Well, there are two factors. When you look at the president specifically, everyone wanted the quote-unquote historical moment of having the first black president. And then, of course, people came back around and they wanted to have the first re-elected black president. But if you put that aside, and then, of course, you also have the emotional argument that the liberals are always, or these contemporary liberal progressives are able to make in demonizing the policies that really could help people, that's why you see the black community being so overwhelmingly 90% plus voted for Democrats. But I believe that slowly but surely we're starting to see the failure. Look, it was the former chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus, Emanuel Cleaver out of Kansas City, Missouri, who said that if there was anyone else in the White House that they would be marching on the White House. So for whatever reason, they can give a pass to this president because of his skin color. I think that can be racist in and of itself, because we should look to have a good president, not just a president that is the first black president or the first woman president or the first Hispanic president. That will continue to see us going down the path of politics and gimmicks and not good